Hello and welcome to Filling the Sink, a podcast from Catalan News. I'm Lorcan Doherty and today we're talking about Sant Joan. June 24th is the feast day of Sant Joan the Baptist, Sant Joan in Catalan. But a bit like St Patrick's Day in Ireland, these days it's more of an excuse for a party than a religious celebration. St John's Eve is a noisy, all-night affair of food and drink, music and dancing, and fireworks and bonfires. Here to tell us what it's all about are Guifré Jordan and Emma Monrós. Bona revetlla.
Bona revetlla.
també.
Bona revetlla is something I've seen on all the posters about St John. I don't actually know what it means.
You've got to know what revetlla means. Basically, revetlla is what we do for Sant Joan, basically. Just a
party,
street party.
Street party.
Or, a party in a terrace.
And on the eve as well, I think that's related to revetlla. It has to be the eve.
The night before.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Well, here in Filling the Sink, we've talked about various Catalan holidays. Sant Jordi, which we say it's a bit like a better version of Valentine's Day. La Castanyada, it's kind of like Halloween, but it's got its own distinct traditions. But Sant Joan is just a big party.
I mean, basically, but it's also, I think, it's related to how the summer begins, and this party is focused on that, on just how summer festivities will come along after this one.
Yeah, it's kind of like the end of the school year as well, so it's a good time, isn't it?
It's the perfect time of the year. I mean, it falls in the first week of summer, and you have all typical summery elements in this celebration. So you've got good weather, you've got open air celebrations because it's good weather, you've got in coastal towns, you've got celebrations at the beach, let's say, even swims, late night or early morning swims.
Midnight swims. Is that the kind of thing that you would have done growing up then, gone to these parties? And is it a kind of thing that as a kid you enjoy, or is it an adult, or is it kind of fun for all the family, or what would you say?
I mean, I just have the fondest memories of Sant Joan as a kid. So everyone celebrated, but for kids, I think it's really special as well.
Exactly, because it's got this extra element,
exactly.
Firecrackers, that's really related to kids. Everyone can light the firecrackers, but it's like more kids. But I think Sant Joan is a celebration that goes with you throughout your life. Let's say as a kid, you are lighting firecrackers. Then when you're a teenager, or maybe when you're in your 20s, not my case anymore, but Emma's is, you've spent all night at the beach, eating,
partying,
drinking, whatever. And then, for instance, my Sant Joan now, it's just eating coca, basically, which is like the typical pastry related to Sant Joan.
And what about the origins of it then? Because it kind of almost coincides with the summer solstice. So I guess it's maybe one of these pagan festivals that's been around for eternity, but it's also got that religious element too. It's kind of a mix.
Exactly. And because of that, historians don't really have a consensus. Some of them say that it's pagan, it's got pagan origins. Others say, no, it's actually religious. What we know for certain is we've got documents talking about Sant Joan in the 15th century in Barcelona, that's for sure. And, and some people are saying this is pagan because, we also have bonfires. We'll talk about them later. And this is a way to burn spirits and weird creatures and so on. Others say it's religious because we are doing it on the opposite day of Christmas. So the farthest day of Christmas. So it's the day of the devil, Christmas being the day of our Lord, let's say. It's not very clear.
Yeah. I mean, I think it falls more or less on the summer solstice. I guess this is, and with the fires and everything, I just imagine that this must have just been celebrated here, like in lots of other parts of Europe at least, for a long, long, long time.
Exactly. And we've got this Stonehenge celebrations, for
Stonehenge
instance.
in England, exactly, with the solstice.
And this is clearly pagan and so on. So Sant Joan is the shortest night of the year, and it's not the shortest night of the year at the same time, because when we talk about Sant Joan, Emma, you will know as well, we always say, it's the most magic night of the year because it's the shortest night of the year.
Yes.
But it's not actually.
Technically
it's
not.
It's fake news actually. So
It's just a couple of days late, isn't it?
exactly. So for instance, we're recording now on the 21st of June, Wednesday, and it's actually tonight the shortest night of the year. And on the 23rd, the night is 7 seconds longer already.
7 seconds
So
longer.
it's no longer.
Right, okay, yeah.
So yeah. Not many people know about it. I've always thought, but now researching, it's like, oh, no. It's not actually the shortest night
Before
of the
I
year.
came here, I just believed like the fake news.
It's fake news. And, just in very short words, we can say that this is because of the change between the Julian and the Gregorian calendar 400 years ago. There was some delay.
So it used to fall on the shortest night of the year.
It used to fall, yeah.
Right,
But
there we
because
go.
of the delay that was caused by too many leap days, they had to sort it out and fix that. And it doesn't fall anymore in the
Those
shortest
extra
night of the
7
year.
seconds,
Exactly. But the marketing is perfect for the
Exactly.
night.
Well, like most Catalan festivities, food and drink plays a big role during Sant Joan. And in fact, there's even a food named after the feast day, La Coca de Sant Joan. Sweet or savoury, coques are traditional pastries eaten in Catalonia and other Catalan-speaking areas like the Balearic Islands and Valencia. The coca de Sant Joan is sweet. Eggs and sugar are added to the dough to make a brioche-like base, which, in the classic version, is topped with pine nuts and candied fruits like cherries, oranges and melon. If that's not your thing, there are plenty of alternatives. Some other traditional ingredients include marzipan, custard or pork rind. The coca de cabell d'àngel, or angel hair coca, is made from puff pastry rather than brioche and filled with a sweet pumpkin jam.
Les clàssiques són la de brioix i fruita i la llardons. Aquesta és una de les que
But while the classics always fly out the door, Antoni Bellart, head of the Barcelona Pastry Chefs Association, says they're always trying new things like passion fruit, pistachios, chocolate or even green tea.
el té verd. Prevem unes 1.800.000 en tot Catalunya.
This year they expect to sell over 1.8 million artisan coques across Catalonia. In fact, Antoni reckons the figure could be even higher as Sant Joan falls on a weekend and because customers are increasingly buying 3 or 4 smaller coques instead of 1 or 2 big ones so they can try out different flavours.
Més petites i així degustar diferents. L'únic que sabem fer és una coca feta amb productes naturals.
Antoni acknowledges artisanal pasticerias can't compete on price with the big supermarkets and industrial bakeries. But what they can offer, he says, is fresh, natural ingredients with no additives, made just a few hours before customers pick them up.
Però en canvi amb això sí que podem competir.
Well, if you're in Catalonia, I hope you managed to get your order in time for your coca. Thanks very much to Antoni for speaking to us as well. What about you two? Are you fans of cocas? Any particular favourite flavours? Do you like the newfangled ones?
No.
Traditional all the way.
I always go
What's your
traditional.
favourite?
Either the classic one or the cabell d'àngel one. You just heard it. This pastry filled with jam made from pumpkin pulp and white sugar. That's the cabell d'àngel. That's the most delicious one.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Emma?
I don't really like the one with like fruits. I just think that's weird for me. But cabell d'àngel's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of coca.
In general,
like
no?
if it's there, I'll eat it, but I don't mind.
And what else? I mean, obviously, coca is the dessert on this night before Sant Joan, St. John's Eve. But I guess you eat other stuff. Is there any kind of other particular dish, or is it just whatever.
I'd say with the coca as a dessert, you would get a glass of cava. That's something clear that most people would do.
Catalan cava from Panades or wherever.
Obviously. And but we don't have any set main dish.
No,
It's
not like on Christmas Day, which is like established.
Exactly. Taking into account that it's a celebration, I would do an easy pam tomacat.
So bread with tomato.
With squeezed tomato there.
Lovely.
And some truita de patatas, for
Exactly.
instance.
An omelette, like a potato omelette, yeah.
Exactly.
So when all this feasting is going on, we're eating our coca and drinking our cava. If you're at one of the bigger street party celebrations, you'll often see a bonfire as well, Emma.
Exactly. So they are usually lit in like squares or crossroads in the middle of the street, just there. And in Sant Joan, there's a lot of fire. So I think that relates with the idea of it being a magic night, I think. I've always related it to that. And the fires are lit mainly to just burn like what you don't want to bring into this new season. And it also has like that idea to purify and protect you from bad spirits and stuff.
And it's a great opportunity to get rid of stuff.
Exactly.
Too. For instance, some children would burn their textbooks actually
A symbolic kind of moving on.
Exactly, moving on, or old furniture or something.
And I've heard sometimes that people jump over the bonfire, so they must not be that big. Or
it depends, because somewhere, like some places, people like actually do competitions to see like which bonfire is the biggest. It's either you get a big bonfire or you get a small one, because the joy you get out of like jumping over it. So it's like you get the two options, but there's always fire in
jumping
between.
over a bonfire, I don't know if I'd fancy it. Have you ever done that?
I've never done that, but I'm sure you would fancy it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Maybe after a few cavas, I don't know. And so that's the bonfires. But the other thing that you cannot help but notice, the noise of the firecrackers. And I've seen pop-up shops everywhere as well. It's like just about a week ago, just all of a sudden, like here, there, like, the fireworks are being sold everywhere.
Absolutely. So it's important that people understand that we're not talking about fireworks organized by local authorities. It's just firecrackers that anyone can buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're crossing a road, you have to be careful on Sant Joan's Eve, because you don't know if like a firecracker is gonna pop out of somewhere.
Yeah, and it's mad because, in a lot of places, looking like in the UK and Ireland, a lot of these things are banned, but here it's like, I mean, I guess people are quite careful with use, or...
Well, yes, but I mean, if they banned it, it'd be like
outrage,
revolution.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone take to the
ancient
streets.
celebration. So come on, you cannot ban firecrackers.
And you're just saying some of them have great little names, small onions or something. You were saying one of them.
Yes. So kids are usually the ones that buy most of these firecrackers. They are for kids, so they are not like big fireworks, what we usually call bombetas or sabetas, which are like small bags of gunpowder which you just throw into the floor and they pop like a small pop.
I think you might call them snappers, maybe. I don't know. It's probably one of those things that everywhere has their own word for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, in here it's small bombs or small onions.
Small bombs or small onions, right?
Bombetas
Exactly.
or sabetas.
And also like little sparkling sticks, which are like sparklers.
Yeah, they're nice. I can cope with a sparkler. It's like it's the bangers. Like,
well, that's like level one.
Exactly.
I'm not a
what you
proper
would give-
Catalan until I get my hand on these other ones.
You would give that to a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that suits me perfectly. A little sparkler, right? What are they called?
We call them bangalas.
Bangalas. Okay.
When I was little, I used to draw like fire figures in the air.
Yeah, you can kind
yes.
of trace
Exactly.
out letters or figures and things.
But if you move on, like bigger firecrackers would be like fountains of fires and lights.
Fountains of fire. That sounds
Yeah,
quite
I mean,
beautiful.
they are not like big fountains, but they are nice to look at.
Yeah, it's like sparkles of different colors, and they are like going off a small box.
I guess this is ones that you put down on the ground rather than holding your hand. Or...
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sure.
But also like crackers that we call them chinos, like Chinese. It's a weird name, but on every box, that's what you see.
That's ordinary bangers, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's something that you would light somehow, and it's like boom. That's it.
Yes.
Well, they were invented in China, I suppose, weren't they?
Well, the powder was invented there.
Gunpowder?
So
Yeah.
And have you got screamers as well? Those are the ones that make a big...
yes.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's a very good sound effect. Lorcan, very good. Yeah. No need for a sound effect.
Library?
Database or
No,
library.
just we can make them all
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we would call them coets, like
Coets.
rockets.
Ah, rockets,
you know?
of course, right. Yeah.
And some, I remember as a kid, some of the bigger coets were truenos or trons.
Yeah.
And it's like super big screamers.
Which is like thunder, no? That means thunder.
Thunder.
Yeah.
That means thunder.
Yeah, I mean, we're still recording it. We're still a few days away from Sant Joan, but I heard one go off and it scared the absolute crap out of me. And I'm not the only one because there's a bit of a debate going on about how much noise these firecrackers make. And Guifré, you've been finding out more.
Is there anything more typical of St. John's Eve in Catalonia than the constant orchestra of loud bangs and whistles in the background while everyone is eating their slice of coca? Well, this may change at some point in the future. Just under a week before Sant Joan, Barcelona welcomed its first ever low-noise firecracker stand. Set up in the well-off upper part of the city, in Plaça Molina, the La Traca company has made a move to please Sant Joan's skeptics.
Nosaltres el que hem detectat és que de vegades hi havia una font que feia llum.
Jordi Brau, CEO of La Traca, told me when I visited the pop-up shop that some firecrackers have an unexpected noise, and that especially bothers pets, kids, and elderly people, as well as those with sensitive hearing. So they began to develop what they call low-noise bangers.
Per nosaltres tot el que és baixa sonoritat és menys de 97.
That is, St. Joan firecrackers that are limited to 97 decibels, according to Jordi, the level of a normal conversation. La Traca is kind of a pioneer in this business, but Jordi told me the only thing they are doing is adapting to the new times.
Fa molt temps hi havia molts brètols, rebentaven papeleres, rebentaven bústies.
Whereas in the old days, bad guys used to set off firecrackers in bins and post boxes, now the celebration is more focused on children and their needs are different.
Que es venguessin moltes més coses de colors i moltes més coses infantils.
Vets and animal rights defenders also back this point of view, highlighting that dogs' hearing is 4 times better than ours, and cats' hearing is even sharper, meaning they can suffer from anxiety, fear, and distress. Some can try to flee, risking a fall from a window or being run over by a car. Both Barcelona's Vets Association and the Animal Rights section of the city's Lawyers Bar Association have called on the public to use low-noise firecrackers. They warn that the reports of missing animals after St. John's Eve doubles compared to a random couple of days. As I walk out of La Traca, I think with a little bit of nostalgia about the times when, as a kid, I used to enjoy firecrackers such as trons, tracas, coets, and baterias, or thunders, chains of bangers, rockets, and drums. The louder, the better. I wonder whether the next generation of kids still have the same philosophy for St. Joan.
Thanks for that, Guifré, and thanks to Jordi Brau as well. So if you're in Catalonia and you want to get involved in the celebrations, where do you go?
Well, if you live in a coastal town, I mean, you've got to try at least once in your
Exactly.
lifetime. You've got to go to the beach, sit there on the sand, drink, eat, and maybe, at 4 or 5 a.m., you want to, have a midnight swim. That's very typical for Sant Joan.
Yeah, and I mean, all up and down the coast of Catalonia, the beaches are packed, aren't they?
Packed,
with people?
Exactly.
literally packed. So that's clear. And we've got to say that one of the typical things to do for Sant Joan is to see the sunrise, which is very
Quite
early,
obviously. Yeah.
And that is approximately at 6 a.m. So loads of people would stay there until 6 a.m. when the police, after the sunrise, would remove them all.
Move them on.
Because you've got to clean the sand so that beachgoers can use it from early morning the next day, or in 1 hour or 2 hours
Which
time.
this year is a Saturday, and actually a bank holiday. Well, it falls on a Saturday, but a lot of shops will be closed. So what to do? Go to the beach. But yeah, big cleanup operation, I would say, after the crowds.
Absolutely.
And then, Emma, if you don't happen to be close to the coast...
I mean, I think if you go to the nearest square in the city you are, there will be like a party or probably just neighbors having dinner there. And
I mean, it's quite common that people here set out big long
Exactly.
tables and chairs, and they're generally open to anyone. No,
I mean, just talk with your neighbors, and they'll probably have something arranged which you can take part in.
And in some places, you might have concerts organised as
Exactly.
well. And in fact, we've got a guide on catalannews.com with some of the places that you can go in Barcelona and in other cities around Catalonia. Well, that's nearly us for today. There is one other tradition I thought it'd be nice to mention, Emma, and it's not as noisy as all the fireworks and stuff, but no surprise, it does involve fire as well.
Exactly. Everything on Sant Joan Eve has to do with fire. And this one is Flama del Canigó, which is a flame, Canigó's flame.
Canigó being a mountain.
Exactly. It's a massif located in the south of France. It used to be Catalonia at one point, and people still speak Catalan there.
There's a bit of a Catalan culture
Exactly. It's also called Northern Catalonia. So the tradition began in the mid-50s when the dictatorship, Franco's dictatorship, was still on, because it was one of the places where Sant Joan could still be celebrated, as it was in Spain. And what's the tradition? Okay, so basically, a little fire is lit up there in Canigó, and that fire, a lot of people take a flame out of it, and that flame is distributed all throughout Catalonia.
Okay.
So it gets to every village and every town of Catalonia, and every...
We can say that it's even distributed throughout all the Catalan-speaking
Exactly.
lands. Not only
So,
the
over to
actual
Mallorca
administrative Catalonia, but also northern Catalonia, which is still Catalonia, but outside the administrative border, let's say, Balearic Islands, and the Valencia land.
Exactly.
And well, it's quite nice and quite symbolic that this fire starts in this one mountain, which is a very symbolic mountain too. It's written about in literature and poetry and stuff.
Exactly.
It's kind of iconic, and the flame comes from there and makes its way to
In one day.
In one day,
A
is
single
that?
day.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well,
That's
it
good
starts
going.
on June 22nd on midnight, and all throughout the day it's taken.
Okay.
There are some volunteers and so on. There's like a
Exactly.
network of people distributing that very same flame into all Catalan-speaking countries.
And
let's
then
say.
it's normally welcomed by the local council or whatever,
Exactly.
and it's used to light a bonfire then in the city.
Yes, that's what usually the tradition is about. And also, like, when cities receive it and villages receive it, there's like music or dances to celebrate that.
honor it.
Exactly.
So there you go, from welcoming a flame that's come all the way from a mountain in the Pyrenees to just having a bit of a party and swimming in the Mediterranean at 5 o'clock in the morning. Plenty of options for Sant Joan this year. Whatever you're doing, have a good one. Bona revetlla. Time now for our Catalan phrase. And you've got one for us this week, Emma.
Yes, it's posar llenya al foc or posar més llenya al foc.
Posar més llenya al foc, so to put more wood on the fire, basically.
Exactly. That would be the literal translation, but it has another meaning.
I mean,
Do you want to
if you,
guess?
in English, if you say if you fuel the fire or something, it's like you're kind of making a situation worse. Is it making a situation worse?
That would be like when you're having an argument, just like making it bigger and bigger.
Okay, so they say if you're having an argument, you're making it worse, you're putting more wood on the fire. Posar més llenya al foc.
Exactly.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks very much for joining me again, Guifré.
Pleasure.
And for the first time, Emma.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We'll see you again. And we're back again next weekend with another episode of Filling the Sink. Until then, for me, Lorcan Doherty, and all of us here at Catalan News, stay safe with all those fireworks. Bye for now. Adeu.